Okay. Oh, let's go live over here. Got the wrong headset on. Let's see, real speaker test. Yeah, we ready. All right. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, family? Peace, power, and profit to the fam. All right. All right, let me cut that down over there. What's going on, Eva Monica? See you in the house. What's going on, Over Sunline? See you in the house as well. Happy to have you guys hanging around here on this afternoon. I know it's late again. I got in the habit of late where I don't do a whole lot of, I guess, drummed up kind of promotion before I lunch and go live. I feel like, again, it happens. It has its moments of, grandiose value, but in most cases, we're just doing like we typically do as traders. We're moving about our day. We're just trying to figure out where's or pretty much where the bag's at, right? So we're searching for information that's pertinent to help us be better at trading the market. So for the most part, we're not just sitting around waiting on you know press releases or from YouTube all day long. Well, some cases I am. See, everybody's different. Everybody different. Everybody different. All right. So yeah, with that being said, again, I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope everybody had a very profitable day if you were trading the financial markets. Again, we saw some interesting moments in the markets today across different asset classes. Not only just again, stocks, but Bitcoin obviously starting to stabilize a little bit. We saw gold being the marquee talking point a little bit today. It finally broke above that $1,800 handle point, which signifies a very bullish tone, even though it's been rising, steadily over the past, month. But even more so now, it shows more strength to let people know that it is becoming the better hedge, the best hedge, I should say, out there in the markets to backstop this coronavirus, uncertainty that we're experiencing. So, so if you guys have been invested in some of the precious metals, obviously palladium, rhodium, silver, gold, obviously. Kudos to you guys, especially if you were buying back, around, end of March, middle of March, end of February, I should say as well. Those were some great opportunities to kind of front load, what we obviously saw as a great way to protect ourselves, from this crazy, the swings of the equity markets that we're dealing with the coronavirus, obviously leaving so many companies just up in financial arms trying to figure out when would they ever get back to a place of normalcy, right? When were you able to go to a business and not necessarily have to feel like, it's Armageddon just to go, buy a carton of milk, right? Get some, whatever you buy at the store, right? Your little dried up, spelt pasta, whatever. All right. But again, when we are faced with these kind of scenarios or these different, unusual tasks that are now a part of our daily norm, well, we do like most people. Well, when I say most people, smart people, we adjust, right? We adjust to the times so we can also stay, uh, you know, number one, safe, but number two, is if the world is not ending per se. It's just a moment, in time where we're having to kind of be a little bit more cautious, right? And it's causing a lot of people to obviously upgrade a lot of things they should have been doing anyway, like their personal hygiene, right? Like their personal hygiene. I don't think anybody will push back against that. But it may be somebody who will. Who knows? But nonetheless, it's a good thing, right? So a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more wiser, a little bit more cautious. And so, with that being said, you'll get at least a better environment that you can maneuver in, if nothing else, if people just follow some of those basic rules of basic life governance anyway, right? It should be basic, but I know that things like that are not always basic to some people. Again, like I said before, right? So yeah, hey, what's going on, Over Brandon? See you in the house. Peace, power, and profit to your family. Happy to have you in the building. What's going on, family? Jay Shelton in the building. Good to have you in the house. Peace, power, profit to you as well, family. Right. Again, nothing special. Just wanting to kind of have a quick little sound bite. Not going to even be on long in discussing a little bit what we're seeing with the gold market now beginning to be even more so a spotlight shined on it, or a talking point for a lot of people to say, you know what, hey, uh, maybe we might need to be a little bit more cautious, in terms of some of these equity holdings that we're still kind of flooded into, because everybody saw it as a particular, you know, free zone, because of the Federal Reserve obviously gave everybody this false delusion of grandeur. Again, this is just my opinion. This false delusion of grandeur that, above all things, they will protect investors no matter what. Right? We have unlimited printing power. Right? Gutenberg ain't got nothing on us. We're gonna print, 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 run the printer full time, and everything's just gonna be okay. Now, you and I know in the real world, right? In the real world, that's just not logical and it's not healthy. Not for equity markets. And you're sitting at basically, 0.24 basis points away from being at zero on interest rates. Right. So again, you got all this inflationary, energy, so to speak, call it what it is, just surging in and around equity markets, as if, forget the fact that the coronavirus is obviously doing what it's doing. Obviously, no one wants to be in it, but companies who were, again, like I said before in previous episodes, that you have a lot of companies who had bad, mismanagement of funds, and shareholders' money was just, being used as a liquid pool for them to enrich the share, the board of directors and people of that nature. And again, unlimited buybacks that were just strengthening, the aspect of what the company had in terms of the stock price rising up on that, but necessarily not really giving back, I should say, to the greater fold of keeping the company, a solid ran business, right? Backstopping it with, proper, M&A, or proper capex spending to obviously make sure that just in case something like this ever happens, you'll be protected. They didn't have any particularly great backstops in play, and so again, literally a month into this quarantine, you had companies already crying. Literally 1 month in, they were already crying. Like, how's that even possible? So you mean tell me you ain't got a month worth of expense operational income sitting around to protect your business and your employees in event something like this? So again, it showed a lot of the weakness that a lot of people who were naive to it, thinking that America again is so great, great this and great that, man, these companies right here living from paycheck to paycheck. Let that marinate for a moment. You had Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 400 companies, whatever, living literally like paycheck to paycheck, and running around here acting like they're just larger than life. They just, you know, they were just, the ultimate, business model to model yourself by. Oh, look at this is a great company, and this, man, these companies, I couldn't wait to rush to try to get some of that free money that came out of the CARE Act. You know, the IUDL loans and all this stuff like that. It's just crazy. Again, when you think about it in hindsight, it's just crazy. But again, we know what we're dealing with because we understand that there's a whole lot of uh, you know I guess talking points that are obviously being spewed every day in the corporate media to kind of convince people that everything is great when it's not, and all it has done was just damage the underlying trust that people will end up having for this, this government, I should say, in the future, because of the fact that when real world issues hit, like we're dealing with this coronavirus, upfront and solid, well, chances are, when every time, anytime we go through something like this ever again, if there ever is a chance, on which obviously I hope it does not, but you're going to have a lot of people that's going to look at this economy, this government, and say, you know what, I will not trust you guys as a credible source ever again. Number one, for my health aspect, and also for my wealth aspect, right? And some people say, well, again, people make money, off the March lows in the stock market. Okay, well, the stock market benefited, yeah, short term, but we know the stock market is only a sliver, excuse me, of what the overall economy really is in terms of Main Street, right? Main Street, as always, gets stuck holding the bag, and Wall Street's, gets on their boat and brag, right? Kind of like the Wolf of Wall Street reality, right? We've seen this, before. We've been here before, right? This is nothing new to us, right? It's the same MO every day when you're dealing with, again, politicians and the ability to levy policies and ability of the Federal Reserve, which is a separate arm, a for hire private organization. They're not even really a part of the government that has free reign to be able to just print money and and then collect all the interest off of it on the back end. I mean, a very parasitic type of relationship between the American taxpayer and the government agencies and these private organizations like the Federal Reserve that gets to take advantage of both. Right? They sit in the middle, just taking advantage of both. And so then again, these are the moments where we get better and sharper and more positioned in our mental, basically our economic prowess, I should say. So we won't be fools and go down these different rabbit holes that are obviously a trapdoor to just complete despair. Right, seeing people obviously still line up at food banks to get food right now is just still horrifying. All right, and again, you got a so-called the best country ever. Right, still seeing people not sure if they can even get tested properly after they said testing will be just the easiest thing you can do at this point. Based upon the fact that they're gonna add all this money to produce all these different uh, outcomes for people to feel comfortable that the government had their back. Again, all that was just a whole lot of talking points, right? And all those things obviously seem to be uh, just a photo op moment. So, with all that being said, again, just touching on the fact that again, watching gold explode is a clear example. It is a clear example why I feel me personally that equity markets now are in a very uh, unfavorable place, and I say unfavorable because the fact that the longest gold is still surging the way it has been doing over the past 4 or 5 months. uh, there's this kind of energy circulating in around equity markets that, the jig is up, at least for the aspect that, the market has been on this epic, 11-year, 10-year, whatever you want to call it, bull run, which we know that all that came to a halt, when, NPR obviously basically came out and told the exact truth that we are now in a recession, which obviously technically that ends the idea of what a bull market would be in terms of psychologically and on paper. So people can't run around saying that we're still in the bull market because that energy alone, when people can go around saying that, it breeds more momentum, right? People want to be still invested in equity markets, just kind of hand over fist. But now they have to have some pause. They have to have a little bit more education behind their thought processes when they're thinking about investing in the markets. And, again, it just makes for a better, educated marketplace. And I'm saying that for people who just buying, don't know what's going on, obviously like the Robin Hood traders, right? Shots fired at them, right? Buying bankruptcy companies and all. They didn't care, right? They did everything they could to spite Wall Street, and Wall Street could not, for the love of them, figure out how is this even possible. But that's great. Again, it showed that both sides, were living under this veil of, I don't know, again, this delusion of grandeur, again, like I keep saying, that was very unhealthy, right? In one arm, Wall Street obviously lying, and just stealing from the American taxpayers in terms of using that money to enrich themselves by running asset prices up, not necessarily rebalancing it out properly the way they should. Letting these markets correct naturally like they should, right? Giving new people opportunity to obviously get in that probably thought about getting in because they saw that reality was was set in tone in terms of the market and Main Street. But again, as we know from historical records, right? Wall Street has always found excuses to separate itself from Main Street and say, I guess I don't even know what they can say for as an excuse to let people know that what they're doing is obviously still a plus value for the overall economy just because you can raise the asset prices in a stock like a Boeing or Apple. Like, how does that benefit somebody that's has no exposure to equities or stocks, who's obviously about to be laid off, furloughed, or whatever the case, or probably is laid off, and they're trying to figure out whether or not that corporation that's benefiting from taxpayer money through bailouts are going to come back to their neighborhoods and provide food, clothing, and shelter initiatives to help them. I'll wait, right? It doesn't happen. Again, not in the real world as we know it to be. So, in knowing that, we have to be again, fishers of men, right? We have to circle our own wagons. We have to educate our own communities, right? Find people who are out there trying to figure out whether they're gonna, what are they gonna do for us their next opportunities in life, because they are tired of waiting around for corporate America to do big things for them. In this case, well, here's one of the best things that we have going, right, for us, and knowing that we know that the stock market is it's pretty much like I say what the individual stock is, a financial vehicle. That's all the stock market is. And like anything in life that's controlled by people who have a greedy, innate value about them, there's always going to be some kind of form of manipulation. There's always going to be some kind of forms of fraud. I mean, you're just not going to stop that. Human nature always has a ratchet nature when it comes to what people perceive to be riches, right? Where the ideal to share the wealth, that whole phrase becomes kind of like synonymous with well, hey, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstrap, all that kind of stuff. That's when you get to singing that tune, and all that. But ultimately, it shouldn't necessarily have to be so complicated to even do that. When there's a lot of resources on this planet, they be utilized by each and every individual person. If people just really took time to understand the value of village, as opposed to just trying to be, an independent, hoarder of things that they can't even take with them in death. Again, they'll probably tell you that they can, right? But with all that being said, again, it's just a great opportunity for us to do what we do best. Again, circle our own wagons, as I'm always saying. Find other people who are interested in opportunities just like this. We're not selling them nothing because we don't own the stock market. We're just trying to provide options and opportunities. Simple as that, right? If you don't want to be sitting on the couch trying to figure out, where they're going to, get your next meal and this, that, and the third, and you got a little money that you've been saving, putting away. And again, while you are in limbo, trying to figure out whether or not you can find employment or whatever the case, well, you possibly can find yourself, in a position to put some of that, that money to work for you, right, in the equity markets, right? Or in this case, like, as the description box says in terms of the title, the gold, right? Precious metals, right? Precious metals are starting to break out. Hey, what's going on, over T? What's going on, fam? Happy to have you in the building, right? Peace, power, and profit to you, right? And again, precious metals, right? Precious metals are now, again, they have always been, but even more so now, they're the perfect backstop to hedge a lot of your equity positions, right? To hedge a lot of your equity positions. We've seen gold just exponentially just explode over the past 2 years, naturally, and some of it's it's counterparts, well, not counterparts, but it's co-inhabitants, I should say, in the precious metal space as well. Silver, again, palladium, platinum, all those different metals now starting to just run all over the place, right? Rhodium, they're just starting to run, again, at crazy numbers to the upside, as people are seeing them now again as the perfect backstop, right? So, and knowing that, if you do not have or have not taken the liberty to look into the ideal of what the gold markets can offer you in terms of precious metals, I think right now it's the most monumental time to do so. Only because we do not know when the equity markets are going to find itself in a more balanced position where you can feel even so much more confident to want to invest in the equity markets. You might also want to put some of that dry powder again into precious metals, right? Number one, we know that again, the gold standard is always going to have a place in American markets, or just global markets period, excuse me, not just even American market, but with the global markets period, because of it being the only true tangible aspect of currency that we know on the planet at this point in this juncture, looking at its historical context and record. And I would say number two, or number three, I should say, it's also always used for the value that what it does from a mechanical aspect, a technical aspect, a ubiquitous aspect. It has use case. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It has a lot of use case in it, right? It has a lot of use case in it, right? Cell phone filaments. I mean, you name it. Gold is in pretty much in and everything. So it's never a moment in time where it doesn't have the use case value for it. beyond being a store of value, in terms of its its currency rate up against fiat currency, right? We know fiat currency, what it is what it is. Right? It's just paper money. It's monopoly money, glorified paper. I call it glorified monopoly money. That's basically what fiat currency is: a glorified monopoly money that people are willing to put a value on it and say it's worth this amount, based on the fact that the government just deboed you and made you accept this currency and say this is what it's worth. And like, how are you going to fight against that, even though you may have something that's obviously valuable in paper, right? And products and livestock and vegetables and stuff like that, right? But they'll tell you again, that's how you'll be able to exchange the value of those things through the value of their paper currency. And so again, people just say, okay, run it, right? Run it. Right? But nonetheless, again, ultimately, we know that it has no true intrinsic value, right? It just does not. It's not backed by anything tangible. It's just backed by the word of the government or those who are in control of the monetary system as a whole, meaning the central bankers around the world, who all have a mandate to control again, the goods and services of everybody's economic surplus in terms of the resources that they have in the ground, right? But we're going to utilize this moment to strengthen our prowess in terms of where I think it may be prevalent to to look into different avenues, aspect of buying some of these precious metals. The junior miners are obviously always a great starting point for some people who are new to gold and buying gold, right, or buying precious metals, so to speak, right. I think it's a great opportunity to get in and just kind of see how these things trade. Same way how we was looking at the oil market a while back when we saw oil dipping down as low as about $10 a barrel. I mean, it got down to like about six, somewhere around there, close to it. And who knew? Again, well, we spoke about it again at some point when it begins to kind of rebound. It's going to break out at some point again, come off these lows. All right. But it was an explosive move back up to the upside, really and fairly quickly, right? Basically from down there $6, $7 a barrel up to about $40 a barrel, right? Still kind of close to being in what they call striking distance to what we consider to be a profitable oil ran, business, with the price of a barrel of oil obviously having to be at least around about $50 a barrel. That's just the standard. You have to be roughly around about $50 a barrel to be considered a profitable oil ran business, right? So 155-gallon drum or whatever it is, drum of barrel of crude oil, I mean, you have to be able to pay at least $50 for it. And we know that cost of living obviously still goes up every year. So every year that they really don't do any kind of massive, expansion in the oil and the fossil fuel industry to where it really requires oil, then they're losing out anyway. I mean, it's a slow dying business anyway at this point because of this renewed idea to get more into clean energy assets. Again, ESG investing, we spoke about that, as it being a very key point of where the world is obviously starting to trend more towards again, environmental social governance type of investing, things of that nature. Right. So hey, we know what's going on to a degree, but we have to speak about these things to give people who are not familiar with these things the ability to kind of get some little insight on what we're speaking about. So if they start taking their initiative to want to get invested in the markets, they'll have a different aspect of how to look at this stuff. Some of these different asset classes, some of these different indices or sectors underneath the equity markets. Again, oil, technology, health care, you name it, finances, material, consumer staples, whatever the case, utilities, they'll know how to navigate some of these places a little better. And so today's quick little topic is again the gold market, right? Because gold is showing you again, which it has always, time and time again, that it is a force to be reckoned with, and it's going nowhere, right? No matter how much they'll convince you that you'll come out better just still being in equities in the middle of a pandemic, right? In the middle of a pandemic that obviously forces companies who depend on people to buy their products and also invest in their stocks, that are publicly traded to help float them along during these times, that is still okay, right? Even though there's no certainty, I should say, in a vaccine, a therapeutic, anything. It's just more so them just caring for people. naturally best they can to keep people alive or healthy as much as they can until they come up with some kind of, in their mind, quote unquote, surefire technology, biotechnology that is, excuse me, in terms of a vaccine to help with this coronavirus. All right, but one thing for sure, gold does not have a storefront. It does not have, litigation and liability scenarios. It does not have the ability, you know, uh, again, have to deal with, the criteria, the compliances of running a business and all those things. It's a free world resource that's in the earth. Now, again, it costs money to extract it. Granted, y'all know what I'm saying by saying all that. It has no one particular brand to decide whether or not, or a government or oversight committee to tell you that it's what it is. It's what it is because it's always has been what it is. It's gold, right? It's gold, right? Now, yeah, yes, they can put price tags on it and say it's worth this much an ounce of this, that, and the third. But one thing is for certain, that standard is universal, right? It is globally universal, right? It's globally universal, right? So, there won't be any kind of misconceptions in terms of somebody trying to gouge or underprice your current or your currencies in terms of you got gold, whatever, it's going to have a universal peg value to it, right? So the gold markets again has a use case, right? Again, the best thing that paper currency is good for, besides holding and bragging with you, and you got a lot of money or not, is if you ever get cold and you run out of firewood, right? And the monetary system end up going to the dirt, right? Which is slowly but surely dying a little bit by little bit. Then you got you a pile of free tinder to start your what? Your little logs that you're gonna set on fire, right? To keep you warm, right? You can burn it all, as they say, right? But I'm sure you dare not do it now, of course. But at some point, if they ever get to a point where they start to do away with it as the global currency, reserve currency, which we were there at one point, but now again they're fighting to try to keep these central banks alive best as possible with their little paper currency. But if they ever go under, it's gonna be a wrap. It's gonna be a wrap. But again, this brings us more back to the idea why we need to look more into precious metals, right? Again, hence the topic of this discussion in terms of gold breaking out. Again, going back and looking at this chart here, look at where we are in relation. Matter of fact, let's back it out. Let's back it out a few here. Let's go to, matter of fact, let's go to the 1 month chart, right? Let's go to the 1 month chart so you guys can get an understanding. Going back as far as even 1979, right? When some of you guys probably weren't even born yet, right? 1979, right? Or even more so when it kind of rounded out, hit some, some lows, during the 2001 era at that point before it broke out. And then we know why it broke out because what happened during 2000, right? The year, well, basically when we came into 2000, right? And then, right into, 9/11, right? 9/11, right? Which anytime you go into any kind of value of war, two things typically seen to kind of operate pretty well in those environments. Number one, gold assets, right? People want to get out of these cash reserves because cash obviously can get, pretty much just, if you want to say wiped out to a degree, it goes worthless the more you print because now you got to have, you got to start printing all this fake money to kind of compensate for all this spending money into the militaries and buying this and buying that. So your potency of your money obviously gets strained. It goes dang near, down to, tenths and tenths of some type of values of it's loss of value, and other things begin to become more stable again, like gold, right? Silver, again, platinum, rhodium, palladium, right? Even sometimes oil obviously becomes a very what highly sought out commodity because of the fact that mechanized armies or things of that nature require a lot of fuel, right? And we haven't gotten to the point where we got electric tanks yet, right? Electric airplanes yet, right? And electric ships. Well, there might be a couple electric ships out there. You got nuclear powered submarines, but that's a whole other different type of energy, right? But for the most part, commodities always begin to pick up, right? The price of goods go up because there's a need for those things in those cases when you're in a wartime environment. And so, case in point, here we are, right? Case in point, here we are, where the coronavirus is being that kind of catalyst to kind of bring about gold now in a way where even though gold was breaking out before the coronavirus hit, but even more so now, it's starting to solidify itself as a major force to be reckoned with. And so, for some of my more advanced traders out there, hey, what's going on, family? What's going on, sister? Play hot in the building. Peace, power, and profit to you. Happy to have you in the building. Love it. Love the new avatar. I see you got the new avatar rocking. Your YouTube channel is growing as it should. Definitely go subscribe to that sister channel if you have not. She's in the bad chat. Just click on her name on if you can still do that with YouTube. They be tripping later. But nonetheless, copy and paste her name. Go subscribe to her channel. She has awesome content. Very, again, awesome editing skills. Again, I told I'm gonna have to hire her, right, to help me out with mine. Right? I still got that legacy stuff. Right? I do it the Flintstone way. She got that new technology side to herself. Her channel that looks very nice, and again, it's very welcoming for people to go check out the content that she puts out, which is very informative, right? Very informative information, right? So again, the gold market, like we've been discussing here, is just another opportunity. Hey, what's going on overseas? Good to have you in the building as well. Overseas is popping up, right? Good to have you guys in the building today. Again, I'm not going to be on long. Just want to kind of discuss, where we are, and just see where we are, right? And see where we are in terms of different asset classes, that you might want to explore. And I'm saying that because, again, make no mistake about it. Y'all see the gold chart that I have posted, as they say, and I guess what they say in the hip hop game, numbers don't lie, right? And numbers don't lie. And all I've seen since, literally, December, let's say not even that. Well, you can say around the end of 2018, going into 2019, was gold just really starting to just rip to the upside, right? Just ripping to the upside. And we know what really caused the lag, so to speak, obviously coming through this chop zone here from 2013 up until 2018, where the gold market was obviously in a major consolidation channel. I mean, you just look at that there, guys. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up. I mean, you talk about a massive consolidation zone, and needing to kind of find a way to uh, you know uh, uh, reinvent itself, so to speak, right? It's trying to reinvent itself. And so what I see here when I look at this channel here, this massive little chop zone channel here, uh, again, it just showed to be a great opportunity to start thinking about particular breakout zone. Well, we study this. We know what this is all day. This is a chop zone, right? Right. This is people treading or trending along inside the gun line, so to speak, right? Tell them about the gun line, boss, right? You better not step outside that gun line, right? We're gonna shoot your block off, right? Well, basically, the markets have been, kind of somewhat, especially the gold market, that is, in this, this literally, 4-year, just consolidation zone before it broke out. Right, it was in the 4-year chop zone before it broke out, and so gold is the ultimate, conservative hedge against equity markets. Like most people always run to the bond market, right? They go buy the bonds as a hedge against equity market because they know at some point every 10 years people obviously go through a technological change or a new kind of value of an industry change, and so within that, people who got wiped out from the previous industry, a lot of those people go into debt, they default, this, that, the third, and so the bond holders of some of those assets, they end up feasting, right? When you go under, again, that's how insidious this monetary policy, this government scenario setup is, right? They feast off your what, right? Off your hard times, right? Your despair, right? They make money, again, off your birth, your living, and your death, and they do it with a smile on their face, right? With a smile on their face. And so it's crazy when you think about it from the point that you go to school, you get an education, so you get a good job and go work for somebody else to enrich them so they can get, wealthier, right? Wealthier. And you just, try to do your best to stay healthy as much as possible, because if you ever get sick and go down, especially with the breadwinner in the house, how is everybody else going to function? Right. So it's a scary idea when you think about it, especially, if you don't have insurance and all these other different things. You're really just, you're just being born to feed the system more so than the system obviously benefiting you in a way where you you are the most precious commodity on the planet, right? Well, unfortunately, governments don't see that anymore because greed has overtaken them, and so you really can't get much, out of your system the way that you really, you really should. Not that they are not doing some things. Like I know people gonna come at, man, we got some nice things that in play that still, gives us a quality way of life. Granted, yeah, so be it. However, at the end of the day, I feel like you'll fare a lot better. Me personally, I feel like you'll fare a lot better being in position to manage your own, experience a little bit better under your own, ability to make money under your own time, underneath your own dime. All right, that's just my opinion. Again, that's just my opinion. But I do feel like we do much more better for ourselves when we are in the driver's seat, all right, as opposed to having somebody else drive us, right? At any point, they can stop, kick you out, and leave you out there stranded somewhere in the middle of the desert. Case in point, coronavirus has done just that to these corporate companies who are greedy and didn't really do anything to really protect their what? Their employees, right? And also their shareholders. We saw that first case dealing with this coronavirus. Simple as that. The idea and the phrase that people when they say, okay, yeah, I have job security, right? That's I mean, man, if that ain't something like out of the 90s or the 80s, I guess, right? How dare you in the 2000s, especially in 2020 and beyond, run around here in this day and age still talk about job security? If you don't get out of here with that lie, right? If you don't get out of here with that foolishness, right? There's no such thing as job security. None. And if you still believe that in 2020, especially after what we've just witnessed, then I'm sorry to tell you, you've been asleep at the wheel, right? You've been asleep at the wheel of history, because we figured out a long time ago that the only security you have in life is what you be able to provide for yourself. Period. Right? Meaning you have to find other ways to stay afloat, and not depend on others, in a time where, when you're faced with these kind of scenarios or these anomalies in life in terms of pandemics or whatever, or war scenarios break out and companies obviously go under because they can't sustain. Or again, we go through these 10-year industry changes. Every 10 years we go through an industry change, right? And if your industry obviously becomes what? A relic, and becomes old and outdated and antiquated, well, guess what happens? If you can't transfer those skills into something else, you'll phase right on out with them. Again, we spoke about the dot-com bubble, right? What happened then? A lot of people went under, right? Debt, amassed a ton of debt, right? On bad business deals, this, that, and the third. So we're not speaking in, a foreign language here. All right, we're just saying, hey, you need to have other avenues or income producing skill sets underneath your belt. Period. Right? I don't care how many. Again, this no disrespect. I don't care how many college degrees you have, because we figured out, we find out now, college degrees, and even more of a slap in the face. What did Donald Trump just do the other day? Him and his daughter Ivanka Trump. I don't know if it'll get overturned. If he gets, ousted in this next election, but I don't know how long they're gonna keep that executive order in play. But he just pretty much mandated. It could be a gift and a curse. I granted, there's more to it than I'm probably making out to be out the initial aspect of that. But they just signed an executive order literally the other day. Donald Trump and his daughter Ivanka, about now that, to be able to obviously get federal employment or this, that, and the third. In some cases, it doesn't require you to have a college degree, right? Certain aspects to work for the government doesn't require you have to have a college degree. Now, we're not just saying there's some aspects, because we know there's certain things you could do within the government that doesn't really require it, but we talk about things that really carry, a lot of weight to them in terms of its level of maybe security clearance or whatever the case like that, or whatever the nature of the business that requires people to have to be very logical and calculative in their aspect of thought, right, and their reasoning. These jobs, and not that people can't do those things. Let me first say that, right? But they're going to do it without that you have to have a college degree to be able to get employment under those scenarios. So I'm saying all that to say this, and maybe it might be a small sense of bias that I may have, but technically, when you think about President Trump, right, and you think about uh, some of the decisions that he's making, and the choice of words that he uses, right? Not that that disqualifies it, but some of the stuff it shows you the importance of why smart people always need to be in the room at all times when he's speaking, right? Because there's just certain aspects of intricacies of certain professionalism that takes people years and years to be able to be the mastery of their reality, that you can't just get this stuff overnight and just walk right into it, right? It goes through a lot of trial and error, a lot of experience, right, to be able to hold down those positions. Again, like the inspector general that got fired by Trump literally weeks before they obviously began to get ready to kind of, send out this stimulus money. The most competent person literally in this country to be able to handle such a task like that, and a pipeline of distributing all this money to people who qualify under the CARE Act to receive stimulus money, got fired. Couldn't make this stuff up. And then no interim person, you know, to fill that slot. Again, because of personal biases, because the president, again, has a problem with people who are professional and expertise in their fields. And if they disagree with him, just one inkling of a disagreement with him, he instantly fires them. Like, you could not make this stuff up, guys. Just like a mob rulership. Again, whether you for Trump or not, again, y'all know me. Don't get in your feelings all over here, because I'm not a Republican nor a Democrat. So you already gonna lose trying to come at me with your little, oh man, but you can't say that. No, I understand one thing again about life. I've said it a million times on this channel, right? I'm pro myself. I'm the president of my reality. Regardless of the fact that I have to live under this governance, I get that much of it. But at the end of the day, I'm intelligent enough to know that I can do justice fine, making intelligent decisions, almost in an autonomous fashion, or a contracted autonomous agent within under this government, where I don't have to sit here and feel like I got to have loyalty, all right, to a particular party or a brand or a man, another man at that, right? Try convincing alpha males that kind of foolishness. It's okay, to have your wife sit around you and talk about, other men, and you sit there with a straight face like it's okay. Like, where they do that at, right? Where they do that at? Again, hey, I don't know, man. These young folks today, who knows? But anyway, getting back on topic. So again, gold is a very notable asset to keep around. And if you are new to it, you might want to start researching up on it, exploring it. I've spoken about it before, but more so today, I'm really touching on it because of the fact that it's breaking out even more. And I'm saying that because we kind of foresaw this coming anyway when I spoke about this stuff even months ago, back in February, March, and say, hey, you might want to look at other assets now, right? With this coronavirus going, ravaging the globe, you need kind of have some backstops, right? You need to have a hedge, right? Gold is a good hedge, right? Even though we spoke about it back then, right? Some people took advantage of it, some people did not. But if those who took advantage of it, you sitting pretty nicely, right? Off that, that initial thought process or that initial investment. Because again, going back to where, with the market obviously getting the time to kind of take off, when the coronavirus hit, obviously this time frame when it actually became relevant, back around the early part of March into February, well, you had a massive sell-off in gold, right? That's why you got this big old long wick right here to the downside and up. Which always just, spun the fact that everybody kind of got, throttled by the news that we was going through a global pandemic. Even Bitcoin got rocked. Y'all remember Bitcoin went way down too, right? And then it rebounded. Right. So, but when cooler heads prevail, again, smart people, right? When they prevail and start thinking, okay, when this rebalances itself, thought process of this stuff comes back to a point where we starting to see, hey, we need to start now allocating more into our backstop position, because we don't know how these companies are going to be able to fare underneath a pandemic, meaning if they're going to close down, they're going to go under, are they going to be able to furlough, are they going to stay, how are they going to be able to operate basically under a pandemic? And it turned out a lot of them were, weaker than, wet toilet paper. Couldn't make this stuff up. Weaker than wet toilet paper. They could not sustain 1 month of a shutdown. But again, like we said a million times on this channel, but they want you and I to have at least 6 months worth of income put away for a rainy day. And a company gets to have none, because at the end of the day, guess who they're going to tap for equity? Number one, they got the opportunity to tap their shareholders, the debt markets, and government or Federal Reserve bailouts through the taxpayers' money. Like, It forces you to want it forces you to want to get in the business on this level because you're gonna be protected no matter what. Right? It seems like, man, but I mean, we know that's a pipe dream. But more importantly, some of those who are more solid in their aspect of how they run their business in terms of essential aspects of businesses, they're going to be protected regardless. Because again, they'll say it's national security or it's a strategic investment to make sure that we don't mess up our comfort way of life, airplanes and all this kind of stuff. Like seriously, right? But then anyway, moving on. So gold broke out as you see here after they kind of had that kind of sporadic day when they launched that we go into a pandemic, the world is this, that, and the third, whatever, right? And then after that, the buyers came in like gangbusters. Buyers came in like gangbusters. Look at that green candle there, right? After this right here, right? The news dropped. Here we go. Buyers coming in. Ran the wake up all the way up in there 1789, 1790. Pull back like it's supposed to. Feel that little so-called wick gap. Buyers came in again. Again, here we are now, breaking out, testing this $1,800 level. And so gold still has a good little ways to go. Again, well up near 2,000 an ounce is not, under the. I mean, yeah, it's just not far fetched at this point. I mean, you literally, a couple hundred points away from getting that. And then there are some days, based on when the coronavirus stuff is hitting again. I mean, it ain't hard to have a day where gold runs about 70 to 80 points in a day, 100 points in a day. I mean, it's not far fetched to think that, right? And so, basically, when you look at this big pattern here, for some of my technical traders out there, when you look at this big overarching pattern right here, what do you see? Right? What do you see in relation, to this opportunity here? Right? Let me see if I can find where is that? Blah blah blah. Let's see. That's the triangle one. I want the arc. I guess I could use this one just for now. Let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn it though. It's not gonna let me do it that way. Okay, never mind. Let me just blah blah blah. Trying to do it where I don't have to do all this kind of crap. Never mind. Y'all see this big arch right here, right? I'm on investing.com exposed to trading view. But nonetheless, y'all see the pattern, right? So if I was to ask y'all basically, I mean, y'all know what it is, but what pattern do you see right here? Right? What pattern do you see right here on the gold charts here? Right? What do you see there? Right? Massive cup and handle. 100% right. Right? Massive cup and handle. Right? And some people are like, well, man, it took a long time for it to formulate. Well, that's how money curates over time. That's how wealth curates over time. That's why we always say this is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to have your money well preserved and protected and has the ability to grow interest on it as opposed to sitting into a money market account or a bank account, I should say, with no interest on it at all, collecting nothing but dust and IOUs because the bank taking that money, investing with it daily, and you sitting around like, man, look, I need some help, right? Ain't nobody coming to help. So you gotta learn how to put your own money to work for you, is my point. As I'm always saying, put your own money to work for you. So you have a massive cup and handle pattern here formulating, going back as high again, off the pullback when it happened way back in 2012, right? 2012, right? When the markets obviously at that point, in terms of equity markets, really began to rebound after the subprime lending crashes that happened back in 2008, whatever the case. That's why gold started suffering a little bit, right? Because income all this quantitative easing, QE3, right? They call it QE3. Some of you guys may not be familiar with that. Go Google it, go look it up, go understand what it is in terms of quantitative easing. When the Federal Reserve starts doing that, that's when bubbles are formed, literally, right? They just blow bubbles all day long like kids at a preschool. Grown, ratchet, rusted people just sitting there at the printing press saying, how much I'm gonna print today? This money, I mean, who cares? Taxpayers gonna have to end up, bearing the brunt of it anyway at some point. So I'm gonna do it just for this moment because it just feels good that I got the power to do it. And that's basically what they're doing right now. But long story short, let them tell it, well, what do you expect us to do? Just let things just unravel as they unfold as they should? Well, possibly, yes, to a degree. And then number two, maybe be a little bit more strategic in terms of how you place those dollars, these so-called emergency funds and paper printing policies that you put in place, maybe you want to think about putting it in the hands of people who really going to own, you know, the taxation that comes along with it, the American people, right? The citizens. How about cutting them the check? How about cutting them a check every month, since you seem to give it to the stock market every day, right? Every day you dumping money into the equity markets and the bond market and the treasury back lending loan, but you're not doing nothing to help the people who actually don't have no jobs to go through, have money on books to take care of the things they need to even stimulate the economy with, because you're too stingy to realize it, because you don't, they don't have mandates in place to protect people the way that y'all think they do. They think just because they gave you a police department, a fire department, and a hospital, which is a private organization, it's not even government rated, that, hey, we done our part. We got a monetary system in terms of IRS to formulate the taxing you, so that way everybody got. But what else are they really doing for you? Have your schools gotten better over the past 10 years? Over the past 20 years? Have your roads and bridges that you travel up and down every single day gotten better in the past 10 years? Past 20 years? Right? It's a quality way of life in terms of neighborhood escaping, landscaping, or just increasing the value of wholesome businesses in and around certain environments got better. I know these are state by state cases in some cases, but the Federal Reserve is still there to kind of make sure that these states have what they need in essence, individually, to make sure that they building the wealth of the the overall economy by giving everybody a better qualitative way of life, right? A better quality of life. And those things are just not happening, you know, the way that, it's supposed to happen, because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Again, it's the idea that if you don't believe that you are the king or the queen of your castle at this day and age, meaning you got to find ways to be, the ruler over your existence the best you can, the best way you know how, then you been asleep at the wheel. You've been asleep at the historical wheel of life in terms of this scenario, right? Because we're all immigrants in this country, to a degree, to that aspect of what it really means to be, on a, foreign soil, under somebody else's mandate and rulership, and trying to convince yourself that this is fine. It's tolerable. It's tolerable. I will say that. Yes, there may be some other places around the globe, but you think about it and you say to yourself, okay, what's the trade-off? What's my trade-off? Again, I'm always using the thesis. Yeah, just because you get to go to McDonald's at 2 a.m. in the morning and get your little dusty little, cancer-causing little cheeseburger, right? No, shots fired, right? Don't come at me. I know some of y'all eat at McDonald's. Y'all know what I'm saying, right? But if you say that's a luxury, or you got a chance, you can go to a sporting event. Again, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, I guess. So you sitting at the Parthenon or the Colosseum, right? That's your, man, we got sports and all that. Yeah, you ain't got no money in the bank though. You pay that on credit, didn't you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So again, I just advocate like anybody, would, who feel like they're trying to provide some qualitative information, something to make people think a little different. Not that I know it all, because I know not a heck of a lot of stuff that some of you guys probably even do that's tuning in, and I like it because again, that's what makes us unique. We all have a certain skill set, profession, or value that we can bring together in a think tank form, and then what, benefit from it, right? That's the whole purpose of this, right? But more so again, in areas where we all parallel and come together on, and that is through the equity market. Hey, what's going on over Sunline? What's going on over Brother Matthews in the house? Good to have your brothers coming through. Peace, power, and profit to you, family. All right. All right. When it comes to, again, our, what we are here for in terms of understanding the equity markets, understanding the gold market, the Forex market, crypto markets, these assets, all right, these investing, instruments, so to speak, right? These financial vehicles that we're looking to benefit off of. Well, again, it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer in terms of, where, and when we should, look into some of these aspects, and also these assets to, again, get a leg up when the government is sitting there spinning its wheels in the sand, going nowhere fast, and sitting there just, talking a whole lot of hot air all day. I mean, you literally got Congress is getting ready to go on a vacation. They're getting ready to go on a vacation after the 4th of July. They ain't there for almost for what, 2-3 weeks, a month. They near 3 weeks to a month, they finna get ready to go on vacation. Congress, the people that you put in office to be able to put in a position to be, to take care of you during moments like this, during the middle of a pandemic, they finna go sit on they behinds. They about to go sit on their behinds for about an entire month almost for the entire month of July. Dang near 2 or 3 weeks, excuse me, somewhere like that, during the middle of a pandemic, during the middle of a moment when states are often shutting back down, some aspects of their economy is going right back into quarantine because they open up too soon. And yet still they think that you're supposed to live off a $1,200 stimulus check that was given months ago, and you living in places like California, Hawaii, New York, Chicago, high cost of living areas, right? And you finna tell me that $1,200 in New York is the same value worth in terms of what you could do with it in a state like South Carolina or Georgia. $1,200 in the state of Georgia, especially in lower rural Georgia, right? Man, that's like really like $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. Near $2,000 thing there, depends on how you use it. $1,200 in New York, man, that's like $800, right? That's like about $700 in New York, right? $600 basically, somewhere around there. Man, you couldn't make this stuff up. Again, y'all know how this stuff works. But for the most part, that just shows you the power or the strength of the dollar. If it has to have that kind of level of fluctuating aspect of value for it in terms of what it could do in certain economies over others, and you're talking about in a nationhood value in terms of the United States, then what does that tell you? Right? What does that tell you? Yeah. You say $1,200 is like 20 haircuts in New York, right? They charge a minimum about $30 in New York for a haircut. A minimum about 30. Minimum about 30 for a haircut. And you got someplace in the South, $10. In 2020, $10 a haircut. And get a mean cut too, a clean cut. $20, $10 down in a certain aspect of the South. And sometimes they run special like $8, right? Bring your kids day or something. Everybody get a cut for like $8 a piece. Man, New York, man, look, how old your child? 3 months old, man, gonna be $25, bro. That's 25 even for the baby. Ain't nobody spared, right? So again, y'all know exactly what I'm saying. So again, that's just fluctuation. So and saying all that, looking at the gold chart again. I know I go on tangent sometimes. Looking at the gold chart here, right? Gold again is starting to really peak itself as again the clear currency leader that we've all known since time immemorial, as the ultimate store of value of a person's real, I would say, political wealth, because gold is like political wealth, right? And I say that because when you think about what countries go through, when deflationary periods, inflationary periods, and these parasitic central banks that get in and mess up people's their resources in terms of not putting fair values on, and with these global currency rate exchanges that go up and down like crazy. Again, some of our forex traders in here know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, they destabilize the country before you know it. Again, war break out, in come this old fake money, and people got the resources in the ground to pay for their own allocation of what they need. In come these old parasitic central banking systems to come in and mess up the people's monetary system and resource. It's just a mess. I'm saying all that to say again, gold will always be the universal standard. Whether you for it or you're not, it'll always be the universal standard, right? Again, going way back, time immemorial, back, up and down the Nile River. We know the history, right? I mean, laden in gold, up and down the Nile River. Come on, the Nubians, right? The Kushites, right? Come on. Gold just was like, man, like finding, seeing birds fly around. Gold was everywhere, basically, right? Wealth of gold mines all around, in and out of Africa anyway, but more so that people used it as a store, a use case more so than a store of value, right? They use it as a use case. And it had its moments of regalia too, but it was more, they used it, they put it to work, right? and that's the value of it became even more relevant when outsiders came in and saw it and say they want to, we don't have this where we come from. Man, we want it. And so again, they went from bartering and then they went to outright trying to steal it and take it. And here we are today in colonialism and transatlantic slave trade and sub-Saharan trade slave with the Arabs. Here we are today, all oppressed because greedy people, again, couldn't follow the rules of nature, right? But it has always stood the test of time as a use case commodity in that value. And so it's political in the essence that people used it at a time when they necessarily didn't have certain useful resources in their community to make certain moves to barter with to move across different nation lines to be able to make things happen. Where gold was always that instrument that they could use, right? That's like you showing up, all right, to somebody's highly industrialized civilization, and you got a bag of dirt, right? Say, hey, I got this dirt for sale. I mean, that's all we got. They go like, we got plenty of dirt. You got anything else? We got some seashells. Well, at some point, cowrie seashells were monetary, but we talking about at a time where back then. But now it's like, we need something a little extra, right? We got oyster shells down on the river, right, or the lake down in the ocean, right? We got this gold. Oh, you got some gold. Okay, yeah, we might could do some business, right? We can do some business. We got some gold, right? Even silver, right? You can even do some business with some silver. So, saying all that again, precious metals, look into them. Precious metals, look into them, right? They are starting to make their climb. They're starting to make their move. They're starting to again be the backstop we thought they were going to be. In essence, to anytime you're having scenarios like what we're dealing with in terms of the pandemics and things of that nature, or just global unrest in some cases where the monetary system is always being strained, all right, because you have to now borrow more money or print more money to sustain during these moments to pay for things that necessarily wouldn't have been need to be paid for if you wouldn't have to go through these things. Well, hey, now is the time to really understand the power of precious metals, right? Because if the dollar, I know people say that's a big if, African poor, it's a big if, but if the dollar was to ever collapse, and there are some economists out there saying it's going to happen one way or the other. One way or the other is going to happen. How soon? Who knows? But if it ever collapses, what people going to run back to as far as the monetary system? Are they going to go back to cowrie shells? Are they going to go to tulips, right? Like the tulip mania, right? Are they going to run to rocks and all that? Or are they going to go to precious metals, right? They're going to run to precious metals. So again, silver. Silver got down to $11 an ounce. Literally $11 an ounce for silver. Has a good use case to it. Silver is in a lot of different things too, right? A lot of different, electrical components, this, that, and the third. Jewelry, you name it, right? Got down to $11 an ounce, right? The best buy opportunity all time. We spoke about it, way back during that time frame. Hey, look at the silver, right? At that time it was dirt cheap. Now look where it's at now. Literally 3 months ago, we were saying, hey, get some silver, buy a little bit of silver. Look into buying silver. Look where it's at now. $17 an ounce. $17 an ounce is the standard. So you up already about $6 per ounce since the March, around March lows. Right? Great investment and cheap price at that time. It was cheap. $11. Come on, guys. $11. I mean, you can afford to buy at least 1 ounce, right? It's a paper ounce, coupon prospectus based ounce in terms of if you bought this particular silver miner ETF, which is iShares Silver Trust iShares, right? SLV is that ticker symbol, right? SLV, right? I've been trading that one there for quite a while, right? Again, but it's one of the more founded silver miners out there, right? Pro shares, that is, iShares, I should say, excuse me. And so it's a solid, solid source to kind of look into. But nonetheless, again, looking at that asset, I mean, come on. right? Getting pretty much back to the point before it sold off. After the coronavirus news hit and daggered everybody. I mean, you literally points away from getting back up to those prices. And then a little further back when they got up around about $18 and 40 some odd cents an ounce around about uh, you know September 2019, right? And so all you're seeing here is again same way it was kind of like in the consolidation chop zone, going back to the highs around there $20 an ounce back in 2016. Chop consolidation, pull back heavy, pull back, kind of rounded bottom, cup and handle if you want to call that, broke out, went higher, pull back, consolidate again within this handle point here, right? And was getting ready to go higher before the coronavirus hit. Right? Couldn't make this stuff up. Before the coronavirus came, right? It was getting ready to go higher. Right? It was getting ready to go higher. Hence the linear regression band channel is showing you the momentous value that the asset was obviously enduring at that time. Right? And now fast forward to today, I mean, you kind of see what's going on here. Right? You see what's going on here. Kind of sits right in the middle of this, this large trend band here. Again, baseline around about $15.60 some odd cents an ounce, up to the top around about 1865, where can easily be trading up near that point in the next month or two, easily. Right? If gold keep breaking out the way it's doing, because precious metals are going to follow suit. All this subsidiaries or smaller junior mining companies like this, like JNUG, right, Nugget, right, those stocks going to break out too, right? I mean, those are more on the pro share side, right? For the miners, but nonetheless, again, they do carry a lot of different opportunities within them as well, right? And they're getting beat up right now, granted. But again, they are definitely founded opportunities left in them, right? And so right now you see it kind of curling back up right here, ever so slightly. It's starting to curl back up a little bit here, right? Starting to curl back up here, coming off again off the March lows, and now you're starting to kind of curl. It's curling back up to the upside, right? Could make this stuff up, right? Because again, when you think about it from the aspect of what we're dealing with, and we still dealing with the first wave of the coronavirus, and people still are selfish as ever and greedy as ever, right? Don't want to, wear masks, don't want to use hand sanitizer when they out, whatever the case, whatever the level that's causing this transmission to spread again, these people don't want to kind of fall, in line as they should. And so because of that, right back into, yeah, right back into quarantine for a lot of people because of other people who are reckless and alternative SVM, good looking out over Sunline, right? Again, because people don't want to adhere to these 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 policies, so to speak, to say, hey, you might want to think twice, right, before you going out there any kind of way, right, right. You might want to think twice, right, because again, right now it's just not the time to be, out there just willy nilly, chancing everything, acting like everything's okay when it's not. Because you feel invincible. You got that that moment, what they call that Rona immune system button at the house somewhere that you be pushing. I guess I don't know what's going on, but uh, people are getting, just ramshacked by this virus again. I mean, again. So it's no, mistaking, uh, you know, what's going on here, right? It's no mistaking what's going on here, right? So if you are going to be out there, in the general public, again, this is a PSA announcement here. It's part of the investment advice too, because again, if you're sick and land up in somewhere in somebody's hospital with a ventilator on you, how you invest? How you gonna get this money, right? How you gonna get this money unless you already got your stocks already on autopilot, right? Again, granted, that's what we're doing here to build, long-term wealth, right? That's why it's a marathon, not a sprint. You can't day trade everything. Some things you got to learn how to put your money into and let it sit and let it curate and accrue interest the way it should anyway. But for the most part, you can't day trade, laying up there, with tubes all down your throat and IVs in your arms and, worry about the stock market when you're trying to worry about, if your lungs going to, hold up or not. Right. So again, do what's necessary. Protect yourself. right? Protect yourself, protect your family. I mean, do that little extra, take that little extra step. I know it's inconvenience, right? I know it's an inconvenience, but I tell you what, what's most important to you? Sitting up on on a gurney with tubes all down your throat and people hovering all over you all day long with IVs in your arm, or at least sitting at the house under the comfort of your own reality, at least still being able to kind of trade some of these markets, these stocks that are running, so you can keep putting away a little money, right? Doing a little something strange for a little piece of change for a rainy day, right? So for us, again, we circle our own wagons, right? We're going to circle our own wagons, right? So, with that being said, again, we're going to make sure when the market is obviously fluctuating and moving, we want to be right in the driver's seat so we can take advantage of it too. Right? Again, you got stocks like Boeing all over the place again. Again, they got news, obviously, y'all saw it like I did. This whole ideal of, coming back, into so-called quote unquote, let's go to the 5-minute chart here. A place of being compliant under the FAA with these, these 737 MAX planes. Caught a massive bid the other day on a test flight. Basically, that's all it was. But we don't care because guess what? If the stock moving, we there, right? The biases they remain, but the opportunity when they present themselves, we what? we jump on board when we have to. And so this was a great play yesterday that I myself personally took advantage of, off the fact that I know they're going to use that test flight, by the 737 MAX plane by the FAA as a catalyst to run the stock. And lo and behold, did they not? They ran that thing from basically about $1.77, all the way up to like about 195, 196, almost 20 something plus points off the lows. It came farther than that because down here it was trading at about 170. Going into the other day, it was trading at 170 a share. So it really broke out from 170 and went all the way up to like what 196. So basically 26 points in a day, right? Just on that news of particularly test flight, kind of seeing that the plane gonna be able to be traded. I'm gonna say traded. I mean flown again, and I say traded to a degree because I know exactly. I was right the first time. These companies who are out there trying to still find value and want to own these plans, even these planes, and not get rid of them. Right. This is the kind of the oversight that they need to see happening. Right. They need to see this stuff continuously happen before they can feel safe about their purchases. Right. Some of the airports and airline industries who are looking for these planes to be a great workhorse for them. They need to see these things happening. So we know that Boeing is obviously before those two unfortunate plane crashes was kind of like the benchmark company of America, right? It was like this is America's bellwether. This is the greatest company for America brand value is Boeing. I mean everybody was saying that because it was in everybody's retirement portfolio. It was the best defensive stock play that you could have. All this, that, and the third. I mean, unlimited government contracts, private sector. Everybody, shopping and doing business with Boeing, employing the kind of workforce that obviously takes a big drag on the overall country's GDP if they ain't working, as business as usual just by having disruptions in terms of coronavirus. Boeing cares about a percent value on the overall country's GDP. Let them marinate. Meaning, if they are in the toilet, so goes the American economy in terms of a percentage value, which is a big percentage value in terms of how much is levied of weight in that whole schematic. And so again, of course, everybody wants Boeing to get back to business as usual, right? Everybody banking on Boeing getting back to business as usual. Uh, it ain't gonna come easy the way people have thought about it in the past. But nonetheless, it's breaking out. Again, going back and looking at some of my old chart, schematics I have of Boeing. But excuse me. I mean, it has a long way to get back to $444, right? It has a long way to get back to $444. And the only way it's going to ever get back up to those levels is that they get that plane recertified. So just because the FAA signs off on Boeing as it, meeting the criteria of the new MCAS system being able to work properly and not kill people, right, by malfunctioning, well, guess what? It ain't gonna be easy alone just by under the FAA because that was a part of the problem, right? The good old boy system, right? Now the global aviation system has to check off on that plane. The global community has to check off on that plane. And so some could say this is the first step, right? Just getting the plane back in the air and test flying it for the general public, that breeds good sentiment. Well, I will agree with that to a degree. To a degree. Still a lot more to be able to kind of make sure that we're founded and we're solid. So in my case, in terms of, as an investor, again, having Boeing in long-term position like anybody else, don't mean I'm happy with the fact that what they did in terms of, the MCAS system and the lies and corruption that came out about them, which was just, mind-blowing. But it wasn't necessarily far-fetched because we know how corporations, how they operate. They crooks like everybody else. Y'all know my thesis. Every company out there is a pump and dump. Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Nvidia, your favorite company, it's a pump and dump. Don't take it personal. Just understand you're dealing with people who have a different ideology than what you do. And when the bottom line has to deal with billions, they ain't really sitting there trying to play the conscious role that me and you will play. Right? It just does not work that way. It just does not work that way. If you think it does, I'm sorry to bust your bubble. Right? It does not work that way. So again, we talk the truth over here. We're gonna speak truth to power. So you need not be caught up in delusion of grandeur because you got somebody in a pump chat room talking about everybody's talking this. It's a good this and no. Take your time, think it through, do your research, and then cross-reference it to everybody else's thought processes. Right? Take your time. Again, the market ain't going nowhere. Right? They'll shut down Boeing and Apple and Amazon before they shut down the stock market. Right? They'll shut down your favorite company before they shut down the stock market. So it ain't going nowhere. But people got to have a place to store their little so-called wealth at, and riches. And they use the equity markets. And when they ain't using the paper coupon equity markets, they're using what we're talking about today in terms of descriptive title, the gold market. The gold market. Right? Which I say everybody should have at least, if you got, let's say, a third of your wealth allocated to equity investments, at least, a good portion of that third need to be gold. I would say at least minimum 30%. Minimum 30% need to be gold. That's the minimum. And see, somebody say, well, man, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. Well, you think about it again. When we think about the monetary system as a whole, and you think about the price or use case values in terms of what gold obviously stands for, and this is to when equity markets are being stressed with the SSED and stretched with the TCH, right? ED. You need to have places where you can also have interest accruing assets that are a little bit more stronger store value during downturns in central banking systems, obviously allocated back to the paper equity income producing instruments that are back to companies like a company that can have multiple problems and carry and drag down the overall economic scenario that you're living under. Again, Hertz, not that it carries a lot of weight like a lot of companies, but these companies going out of the airline industry being tested. All these companies obviously contribute and they're all right, but you don't have to deal with that if you don't have to. Right? You don't have to deal with all that if you don't have to, because you can say, well, I still want to be able to kind of, get into some of these, income producing income assets without having all that headache of ratchet managements and board of directors destroying even particular good company by bad mismanagement practice. Then okay, I'm just gonna buy gold. Well, who own gold? Well, only the people who are producing it and sending it to the COMEX, overseers to kind of put a monetary value on it, and that's it. You don't have, it's not like walking down the street, Ralph's Gold Shop and all this, that, third. You may have a jeweler, but that's totally different. But we're talking about the actual underlying asset of gold is, hey, it's universal. All right, it's universal. Right, gold gonna outlive paper currency, I guarantee you. Right, If I can get go into cryogenesis and get froze by the next couple hundred years, I guarantee you gold gonna be banging, and paper currency probably even American, because we probably gonna go off the gold standard in America the way they keep acting. Let them mess around, man. We can actually gonna lose the title of being the reserve currency of the planet. Well, let these jokers keep at it. But nonetheless, like I said before, yeah, gold gonna still be around. Gold is still going to be around. So right now, there's so many different ways you can get involved or get invested in it, and it's breaking out. So which again, it makes for a very great, uh, you know, uh, you know, hedge against equities, this, that, and the third. You got the GLD, which is the Spider Trust Gold shares, uh, asset that you can invest in too. All right, that one's been breaking out. All right, that one itself been breaking out. I mean, going back again around end of November. Excuse me, end of November, that time frame, end of 2019, it broke out. Right, it began to break out a little bit, gapping up, backing up. Again, income of coronavirus pulled it all the way back to a point where it was consolidating, chopping at this point right here, and then it broke back out right up. I mean, literally right below its 200-day moving average. It pierced below it slightly, regained itself, and then been tearing up to the upside ever since. And it's riding this trend line, this middle trend line, literally like a boss. I mean, have some moment when it kind of pull back away from it, but it snaps right back to it seemingly, and then it trades literally, like a boss to the upside. GLD is that ticker symbol, right? It's the Spider Trust Gold asset that you can invest in within the Spider's, indices, or under that aspect of it. Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of different. I mean, you can just Google gold assets out there. Do your comparative research of it. Don't just buy it just because it say gold. Always do your research, right? Always do your research, right? But there are some ones out there that are cheap, that actually has a good case. They're the miners out there. You got Barrett Gold. I think Barrett Gold is what's Barrett Gold? Barrett Gold is what is it? Is it G? It is GOLD. Sure is. It's another one out there too. What's that one? I can't think of it right now. It'll come to me. But GOLD is the one that's another one, and it's pretty cheap. I mean, I was traded back on the low parts of March before it broke out and went higher, got above 20-day moving average. All right, I sold, took my little profit. I should have stayed, in it in terms of a couple long-term positions, maybe bought some long-dated, option calls in it and held it from that perspective, because it would have been a great banger play, because it ended up breaking out above the 200-day moving average, got above the 20, and then it just lights out, bounced again off $12 and went all the way up to the highs around about $30 and pull back some, which is doing now. And now you're building another cut pattern. Like it's getting ready to want to break out again. And we're seeing the broader market of the gold industry breaking out again, especially, gold get above 1800 psychological victory, and then, stretches try to kind of go and take out that $1,900 level. Then GOLD going to be right behind it. And it's at a price point where you can afford it in some cases in terms of price. And you also could buy options in it. So even more of a incentive, because you can say, well, I want to define my risk a little better. Then let me just buy the Barrett Gold Corporation, calls, as opposed to having to buy the actual asset itself. Basically, share for share, you just buy the options, right? You just buy the options in Barrett Gold. Right? Again, these are all just investment, opinions. This is not me giving you advice. Again, disclaimer. All right, disclaimer. All right, all right. But you can buy the options as opposed to just the equity itself, and you can take advantage of it. And I'm saying that too because guess what? Look at the put to call ratio. Look at the put to call ratio right now on Barrett Gold right now. Right? Look at the call buys as opposed to the put buys. Right? The open interest. Right? People are again moving towards gold. And this is what happened literally weeks ago in a lot of cases, and people just got rolling. And now it's again breaking out. And the call volume is what? Picking up. Put volume thin. Right? Look at them strike prices they put in. Right? People buying up the $25 strike prices, $1.46 a contract. The $26 ones, $1.08 a contract. The 26.50s, 70 cents a contract, 60 cents a contract on some aspects of the bid. The $27 strike price, right? 29 cents a contract, 36 cents a contract. And got good volume in all of those. I mean, look at that tranche right there. Got good volume in all that area right here. And again, gold breaking out 81 cents in a day. That's a good day in the gold market in terms of some of these junior miners or these smaller subsidiary gold companies like, Barrick Gold. Barrick Gold, old school too. They've been around for a little minute in terms of that brand value. So this ain't no just little weak company, right? And again, they, again, benefiting off the idea that, gold market is starting to break out. So I'm just showing you some opportunities, right? This whole conversation just showing you some opportunities, some places, some leads to look into, like a lead, right? To look into. Because just sure enough, if the equity markets obviously do begin to kind of start tapering off, which I feel like they're in a place of weakness right now because all the the aspects of what particular would have been a good backstop to kind of keep equity market surging, all those things are being checked now. All right, all those things are being exposed, and here we are now, again, finding ourselves looking at the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, which has been the clear front runner, and keeping assets inflated, basically the technology sectors, that's been keeping the stock market afloat. All those things are starting to be questionable. They're starting to be a little bit more questionable now. Right. Again, yeah, equity markets had a great day the last couple of days after selling them out, selling out pretty hard, last week a little bit. Well, we know exactly why these markets are turning at this point here because all it did was it was a reset before the next wave of selling stock comes into play. Now, if you put this into context, let's say let's go to let's see what the 1 week chart looks like. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, let me move the extension tab. It's a little defined. It's a little defined. All right. And so basically, what I'm trying to show you here, if you look at, let's just say it for the sake of this right here, real quick. Let me get ready to get off here too. Get ready to get off here. You draw that line there, right up near the low, the highs off. Since the the coronavirus, Federal Reserve pump finale that's been happening, right? Ran the junkets from 219 all the way up to like 320 plus. Down here, we'll say roughly around this point right here, right? Give or take, for the sake of the conversation, right? The bottom of this channel here. Now, granted, if you look at it from a long term, you say that still look bullish. Okay, yeah, it does off March lows. Of course it does, right? Of course it does. But in the short term interim, now that you got again another cog or monkey wrench that's been thrown into the machine to slow business down, right? And this coronavirus, right? You're starting to see a pattern unfold here a little bit, and it's ugly, but it's ever so slightly starting to kind of rear itself, right? Almost like a head and shoulders to a degree. I mean, it's an ugly one, but if you think about it from a place of around this point here to around this point here, obviously broke out this anomaly stuff, and right here again, it's right back at that point again, right? It's right back at this point again here, right? Around this point right here, this 312, 310 level right here, 312, 310, somewhere around that point, 313, give or take a little couple extra dollars. And initially you would have rolled over and obviously came down. That was a true case at that point. However, we know markets are what? Nutty. And so basically all it did was, again, this is them trying to what? Save face because the market is not acting under its own reconnaissance. It's being pumped and propped by what? The Federal Reserve. So this is just free taxpayers' money going into the markets to kind of what? Keep this bubble afloat. Do everything they can. Again, right here, looking at at least the 1 hour chart, obviously it's above the 200-day moving average. They're trying to do everything they can to keep this thing above that 200-day moving average. We start moving out and towards some more bigger time frames, right? Some more bigger time frames, then it becomes apparent. Yeah, we might have to think about this a little bit, right? Go to the weekly, right? Go to the weekly. What do you see? Right, you see this little expected move zone from the chop zone around the high of the coronavirus lows, and then the base point around this point here, around this 298ish. I talked about that what last week, I think, this 298 area. Well, again, if that breaks down, it can get a little slippery, right? We can get back into this penalty box zone down here, and this 290 all the way down to right the 280s. And so, equity markets are weak right now. They're weak. And states are going back into lockdown on certain aspects of their businesses and their community. So all this kind of optimism that that was just I don't know, that actually bred a false sense of security for a lot of people, because that's why people were running out there with no mask on, and they had mixed signals from the government and the president and everybody else saying to wear a mask, not to wear a mask. People like, man, screw it, they ain't gonna do nothing, and they went right on out there and caught that Rona, and now they sitting up there looking dumb because they just had to have a beer and sit right next to somebody at a bar with no mask on, try to prove how tough they are. Now they sitting up at the hospital with tubes all down their throat. Couldn't make this stuff up. Could not make this stuff up. Right? And so all that is now, you know, the Federal Reserve, I mean, you go and try to play golf for so long, right? For only so long before you had that moment of reckoning. So here you are, banking on citizens to do the right thing, and these people, man, don't know what the right thing ever looked like ever in their entire life. In most cases, for some of these people, they live to be defiant. They live to have this entitled mindset, right? This fake ideal of privilege to make them feel like they the best this and best that. We're the greatest company in this country on the planet. All that dumbness, and people running right on out there, testing science, right? Want to believe in science when it benefits them most, but right now they're like, no, look, I trust Donald Trump. He the best scientist out there. What? Wait, what? Okay. Yeah, about that. About that Tulsa, Oklahoma rally, right? About that, right? And the one in Arizona they were setting up for. And man, look, sometimes you got to take that L. Sometimes you got to take that L and try to figure out a different grind game, right? You might need to move online, try something different, right? Because all you're gonna do is just compound the situation and make it worse. And so they can only kind of keep these assets propped up as long as they can. And the only reason why S&P 500 is up right now this week is because of the 4th of July, and it's a short trading week. Obviously, we have no trading session at all on Friday. I repeat, we have no trading at all on Friday. So if you do got a position that you had, especially the options, they're going to expire this Thursday, and that's just going to be that. Well, I mean, you want to be able to close them out, everything, if you feel like you need to close them out by that time frame, or even some of your little long-term position that you were swinging. Right. So again, guys, like we always say, just be prepared. We're here to make you think. We're here to make you look at the markets in a way where if you can find benefit, in them through different, sector changes, rotation, this, that, and the third. You just got to make sure you stay on your game. Just make sure you stay on your game. Don't be investing in things that you have no really true basic understanding about. When I say basic, meaning just go through the ritual track down. What, why, where, and when. Right? Know what you're trading, why you want to trade it, why it's an interesting trade at that point, what makes it interesting at this point or whatever, and then where is a good area to kind of start looking to get in, and then when to pull the trigger. Right? So again, you want to basically do a good round robin due diligence research, reconnaissance, so to speak, and then have some good discipline behind it. Have some really good discipline behind it, because that's how you make money in this market. That's how you make money in this industry. Period. Due diligence and discipline is the blueprint. Literally, that's the secret sauce, right? And whatever little strategic nuances you apply within that, but ultimately, it's all about your due diligence and your level of discipline. Strengthen those two things daily, and you'll become a profitable trader over time. I guarantee it. Because everything you'll witness will be something that, like they always say, you ain't nothing new underneath the sun, right? It's just different cloud covers that come over every now and then, kind of change up the schematics, but it's still, business as usual. Still business as usual. Right. So again, guys, with that being said, again, like I said, I'm not gonna stay on here long. I just want to kind of come on and premise the ideal of, again, looking at other asset classes. Again, we know Bitcoin is still going through a flux right now. It is what it is, right? It is what it is, Bitcoin, right? It has found a way to somehow get almost near correlated to what the equity markets are doing, which is strange to me because Bitcoin is definitely supposed to be a hedge against equity assets, and it's trying to trade parallel with them. And that's because more fund managers are starting to be a little bit more, liberal in their investments into Bitcoin. And so they just use those moments as the backstop or get out of them when the equity markets are crashing. They just take their position out, and they barely had a foot into the game anyway. but it's causing a lot of volatility lately. But nonetheless, again, it's still holding. In terms of Bitcoin, above that 9,000. Right? It's still holding above that 9,000, and a lot of people can't seem to want to accept the fact that it ain't going back down to $3,300 no time soon. If it even a thought about it doing it, and so they just been betting and losing. Right? They've been betting and losing. That man, he's gonna break this, he's gonna break that, he's gonna do all this. I'm like, okay, hey, I understand. I understand how you feel. All right, but obviously decisions made on feelings alone are very problematic, right? Are very problematic. And so anytime it dips down near that 9,000, right, you have a few people come in and buy it up a little bit, right? Buy those levels up, right? Buy those levels of uncertainty and fear up, right? But nonetheless, it's still, again, a very much in play asset, on the account that, again, we're dealing with the coronavirus. And at some point, if it ever truly of this new late turn of events, we're starting to trade parallel to the SP5, S&P, ETF, and breaks away from that level of correlation and diverge from it, then it could definitely, grow some wings and take out that $10,000 level again, like we know it can, and try to push for a little higher levels. So again, I keep my eye on it. Anytime it pulls back again over 7-8%, somewhere near that, I always nibble in, especially with some of my more, fluid altcoins. Y'all know I'm a big proponent. I trade a lot of the ETC, right? Ethereum Classic, right? Part of ERC token 20. Security blanket, actually the only contract aspect of the blockchain out there that still shows a level of security from that aspect. That's why I stick with Ethereum a lot too, even though I know there's a lot of great new places, new coins out there for use cases. But Ethereum always going to be close by. But for me, again, bang for your buck, Ethereum Classic, cheap price, not that bad, has a great backstop in terms of I keep using the word backstop, but it has great technological infrastructure behind it, in terms of what it can do. Going back and looking at its inception chart again, yeah, it looks crazy, right? Like, man, it just been going nowhere, right? But again, nonetheless, it's off its lows, the December lows, and it's off the lows of its 2020 lows of 2019 to 2020, and still holding pretty well for the price point where it's at, right? And so I just nibble it in every now and then, pulls back again about 9 to 10%. I add a little bit to it. Again, it's so cheap it ain't really cost me. You can buy a fraction of it because it's crypto. So I throw 20 on it, 30 on it, 15 on it, 5 on it. I just keep, anytime it dip like that, I add a little bit more to it. Again, glorified saving account that has the ability to accrue interest. That's what investing really is at the end of the day. Let me repeat that. It's a glorified savings account that has the ability to accrue interest better than what your bank can ever pay you. And so you putting it in there don't mean you lost it or it pulls back. It's just that it's consolidating, it's chopping, it's going to obviously do what it's going to do over time. Give it time if it's a good asset. But at the end of the day, your money is still in a position to grow. So again, this thing was traded, well up there, at some nice places at some point before it broke down, and they did this past halving of it and all that stuff. Well, somewhat of a halving, all right. But nonetheless, it still has a great value of opportunity left in it. So, there's others out there too. Obviously, BAT. That's another one I've been adding in on a lot. They got a new the BAT browser, basically. Most people call it the BAT browser. But no, they solid too. Again, it's dirt cheap, 26 cents a token, right? It's 26 cents Satoshi. You want to say that? And again, it went down as low like about 12 cents back on the March lows when the coronavirus hit and everybody sold off. And that was a great opportunity for people to get in that thought about it. And shucks, since then, that thing then already over 100% value, right? Well over there, obviously. But again, it's still showing strength here. In a moment here, when everything else is starting to get beat up a little bit more, BAT is still kind of pumping. So every time again this pulls back about 10% or so, I add to it. Right. And these are some of my altcoins added that I'm adding to, but that's just again my little opinion thesis. All right. But again, it has a date again with that $50, 50 cents area again at some point. And so right now you're sitting around about halfway from it, especially coming off the March lows around about 12 cents. I like what it's doing. And look at that volume there, right? Look at that volume since March, right? That's pretty attractive, right? As any investor would love to see that over a 4-month or a 3-month time span. That's very attractive, right? Barely any sell days in there in terms of the weekly. This is a weekly chart, obviously. So, but that looks very beautiful. That stretch of volume there, right? So that's why I'm in it. For many other reasons too, in terms of use case value that it offers. All right, guys. So yeah, because I'm not gonna stay on long. I got to get off here. I got a couple other things to do. Oh yeah, that's it, brother Jay. BAT. Yeah, Coinbase. A few others have it. Like I said, I've been in it for a little, down into the teens. Add a little bit down in the teens area. Now it's above 26, 25, I should say. Battling around, resistance around near that 27 point, somewhere around there, give or take. But I'm gonna hold it. Again, it's a cheap little play. It's cheap. Again, 26 cents. It's cheap, but it has a strength, a good, good movement days. Once it's moving, it moves pretty methodically. Just looking at the weekly chart, as you can see on my screen, it moves pretty methodically, right? So again, I love it for the value that it could probably do something a little strange for a little piece of change, right? And they say, Friday would do something strange for a little piece of change, right? And don't cost a whole lot. All right. So yeah, so guys, so with that being said, guys, I'm gonna get ready to get off here again. I hope everybody was able to benefit from today's live stream. Again, I only plan to be on about an hour, but again, y'all got an hour, 30 minutes out of me, right? It's a good thing, right? You say some oysters, you got to about some oysters, brother T. All right, now oysters gonna get you in trouble, bro. Don't do it. Nah, just kidding. But yeah, man. So that's it, guys. So again, just kind of keep your eyes on the prize. We say stay, solid, stay humble, stay studied up. You got nothing to lose. Again, most of us are still shut in or shut down a little bit from the coronavirus. It depends on your particular job, whatever the case. So utilize your time wisely. Pick up a book, pick up a PDF, watch some YouTube video, listen to some audio books, just kind of increase your knowledge. That's what it's all about. Again, shout out over Sunline. Again, I ain't gonna put all the little information out there, but his tutelage has been instrumental for somebody that's close to him recently, and they're beginning to reap the benefits of their reward and their hard work. And they just made a nice little bag off of play recently because again they trusted the process, right? They trusted the process, they studied, and somebody that's close to him caught a nice little win the other day. And I can tell you, man, anytime I see stuff like that happen, I get excited, man. Picked up a nice little $300 bag, a quick little $300 bag too, off of a little options contract, right? Caught a nice little bag of an option contract, again around about $300. And when I see stuff like that, man, I say, you know what? See, this is what I'm talking about, right? This is what I'm talking about, right? I'm gonna share it real quick, just on GP, just the ideal of the play. You don't need to know all them names and all that stuff unless they come forward and want to relieve that information. All right, but nonetheless, this was the play, right? They bought one, July 17 contract, right? They bought the $10 calls on WKS, and y'all know if y'all been watching WKS lately, workhorse. All right, that little stock that's been banging up to the upside. It's been tearing it up, right? It's been tearing it up, right? All right. So they paid $4.90 a contract for that $10 call buy, right? $10. They paid $4.90, basically $490 for that contract, and picked up a quick little 58% off the move when the stock, began to break out and tear up to the upside, right? And again, just moments like this, again, just this is why we live for these moments to also be able to trade the market. Is supposed to go long and hold it for long term. We look for that quick turnover ratio too. And when it happens, these little bags right here do really, really nice, right? They do quite well when you're in the right place at the right time. Right. So kudos to them again for having a first real true major win. And that's what this is. It's more of a salute because they first, they tested, they tested themselves, they stress tested the information, They studied, they did their due diligence and research enough to where they can take it far as they could, and then they trusted their confidence, and it paid off. Nice little $300 bag. Nice little $300 bag on that. All right, so I love seeing stuff like that. All right, so kudos to them, and keep up the good work. Everybody stay focused. Again, that's what we're here for, and they're part of our little group, right? We got a little think tank group. We ain't nobody special, but I tell you one thing: we're humbled and we're hungry. We're humbled and we're hungry. Humbled enough to take information and news and opinion and data from other people's and square it with our own research, and we're hungry enough to kind of keep searching for the opportunity to get better. What better list of ingredients? Being humbled and hungry. Because as soon as you get to the point where you feel like you know it all, that's when you're going to start losing money. Right? Trust me. As soon as you get to the point where you feel like you start to know it all, that's when you're going to start losing most of your money. Because your decision making is not going to be based upon, again, that the adaptation aspect of your innate, humanistic characteristics to tell you, hey, think about that twice. Pause a little bit. Oh, you might want to second guess that. When all that stuff go out the window, your wisdom and your wit, you're in trouble, especially in the stock market, because it's not an exact science. It is not an exact science. So you have to learn how to bend and fold and waver right along with it. And that's fine, because again, it ain't really cost you no more than this a couple of extra steps and changing up your ideology. And whatever the market is doing, you just adjust. Again, like Barry Sanders, right? Like some of y'all might be old enough to remember Barry Sanders, one of the greatest running backs in the NFL, right? Known for his ankle breaking, juke moves and pivot, pivoting on dimes and just leaving the jokers like, man, like how you even know to make that kind of move and you human, right? Break a joker ankles like ain't nothing. All right, with a football in his hand, not a basketball, with a football, with pads on, right? With Joker chasing you, right? The best at it, right? I think they put the juke move on some of the NFL football video games based upon Barry Sanders, right? Because of him, right? Or the Juke Joker, what they call it. All right. But anyway, so nonetheless, again, thank you guys for tuning in. I value you all. You're welcome here anytime. Like I always say, my channel is just as much as your channel. It's a village. It's a village where you can come together, think tank together. So you're welcome to come onto the panel anytime I go live, discuss some trades, share some ideas, whatever, you know. Yeah, I know I ain't been live in a long time. To the point, look, I rarely even cut my camera on it longer. Like, man, that joke over there probably looking like Methuselah over there. No, the barbershop still ain't been able to cut nobody beards because of the coronavirus, right? So, I'm growing out a Marvin Gaye or dang on Barry White type of beard. They ain't near seem like it. But recently it just had some ceremonial moments that happened in around my household too. So I went ahead and cleaned up my face a little bit. So I don't look like I fell out the back, out the back of a pecan truck. Than I did, maybe maybe a week ago. But again, everybody looking like that to a degree, right? Not gonna say everybody, because everybody like, man, people like, man, look, I'm still gonna keep myself, this or that or whatever the case. But nonetheless, your brother still, I'm here, I'm grinding, I'm trying to stay, solid. So I had to cut that wolf off a little bit. Y'all see me there. I cut that wolf off a little bit. Y'all know I got, locks. So, they done. I just had my hair done. So I'm like, man, you hiding your hair, but they done. I just got my hair done recently. Had to go in there with a full mop gear on at the hairstylist, because I'm scared of that Rona. I'm coming there looking around like, like this right here, like, man, look, bro, hey, what y'all, cleaning practice like up in here? All right, I'm checking everything, right? So, I had to make sure they were solid up in that joint. For I was like, I ain't finna come up in here and have me up in here, limping about here with that Rona just for some hairdo. But now they do really good at the place I went to. So I was really, impressed by their level of cleanliness. How they even had it set up. Again, they're doing a temperature check. They got it blocked off for petition. You can't even go to the next level until you wash your hands thoroughly. They got masks, all kind of stuff that they have that people donated to the company, to the business of the salon. And so, people doing what they can. I'm saying out this because people are out there are trying to do what they can to really stop this spread, right? They're really doing everything they can in their powers and not being, just kind of willy-nilly, gun ho, guns blazing. I don't care about this. If I catch it, I catch it kind of mentality, like a lot of people are, right? Which can be, again, is problematic because the spread of the coronavirus or the virus itself is like, okay, well, if you feel like that, then, hello, right? Say hello to my little friend, right? Let me ride your lungs like a surfboard, right? I'm gonna surf your lungs, you know, for a good little while. But since you don't care, and everything gonna be all right, right? Right? Okay, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So, again, protect yourselves, guys. Y'all know what to do. Again, y'all need me to tell you that, but protect yourselves, right? Don't be out there trying to, play Hollywood Co. And you got an invisible enemy out there using Trump words that you can't see because you can't see it, right? But it's deadly, right? So protect yourself so you don't end up being like some of the other people out here, who tried to jump bad and jumped out there and they caught that virus, right? All right, guys. So again, like I said, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Peace, power, and profit, everybody. I send my best to you. Again, y'all know I do carry products. I rarely even discuss that stuff, but I got CMOS, I got the purple and the gold in stock, both types. Conscious Christmas, the original, right? The original from Mother Nature, not all that pun grown stuff and all that mess. I got the original wild crafted, sun dried, and Mother Nature grown. And I do also have, some holistic things in terms of the bitters, black seed, moringa, all this. Matter of fact, where that box at? I got the shipment in. I keep getting shipments. Anyway, it's somewhere around here. But yeah, I got that stuff in stock. So just in case you are a person of the health, on the health and wealth side of the house, let me know. I do got some natural remedies, and I say remedy meaning things that you could take your body to kind of help, get through some of this, yeah, obviously, we know the coronavirus, it has a major aspect of, obviously, disrupting your lymphatic system, your endocrine system, right? So you need things to keep your, inflammation from being a major problem because anytime you start thinking about mucous membrane, because that's how it comes into your body, your mucous membrane. Right? Some of you guys were out there with, finally people out there with they're just hating on Dr. Saber. All I'm gonna say is Dr. Saber, AIP ancestor. Right now, you got the last laugh. All right, because again, people didn't take that aspect of science serious, right? Your lymphatic system, your mucous system. All right, that's how the coronavirus obviously mess you up, and then when the inflammation sets in, everything goes haywire. Haywire. And so you need things to kind of help keep your inflammation down. Stay away from table salt. Stay away from things that produce a lot of excessive mucus. Like, again, I know some of y'all gonna crucify me. Stay away from cow's milk, goat milk, all that stuff like that. It produces just a lot of mucus. It does. I ain't saying that. That's what the science says. All right. So can move to more nut milks if you can. Balance out. If you eat a lot of meat, balance it out with a lot of leafy greens, a lot of vegetables. Try to remove a lot of carbohydrates off your plate. Move a lot of your hard starches off your plate. All that glue, basically, that's what most of the carbohydrates are. That glue. That's why they call it gluten. All right, value, right? Because it get in your body and become like a paste. And man, whatever. Let me just be quiet, man. Because jokers will be like, man, you trying to just mess up my eating habit. No, when you're ready, come see me. That's all I'm gonna say. When you're ready, come see me. Right? That's all I'm gonna say. I do have a couple things to help you out. Right? So I'll leave it at that. All right, guys. So let me get out of here, guys. Peace, power, and profit again. Shim Hotel. Thank you for hanging out with your brother. Like, share, subscribe. Get in the habit of trying to say that too. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next one. I hope to get a chance again. I always say try to go live again tomorrow. I'm gonna try. All right, but if not, again, y'all see me around like I always do. I try to move around a little bit. It's been busy again. Yeah, like I told you before, just had some two refis to do actually on a couple of our investment properties. We did them the last couple of days. Actually, yesterday, we had the guy come over and finish out all the paperwork. So they're 100% done now. Well, for the most part. The other one has to get done, over the internet, since there's other stuff going on with that. But whatever. All right, making moves, right? Even during the Rona. All right. So you are a person who is a homeowner. If you haven't thought about refining, if you got investment properties out there, number one, I would say if you are having problems with hardships and trying to keep the mortgage payment going, if you got tenants in your building or in your property, and you want to still, utilize the opportunity in terms of what people are dealing with, in terms of money being stressed, if you're not working, whatever the case, you can do what they call a mortgage forbearance. It does not count against you. It's under the CARE Act, so make sure that you don't get swindled by your banks that'll try to put you up, on this bad game and try to get you to fall into one of their policies, and just let them know, no, you're going strictly under the CARE Act, right? It doesn't require any kind of financial proof of your hardships. All you have to just say, look, I need a forbearance. You get up to 12 months to do so. 12 months of no mortgage payments. It doesn't go against, you in any kind of FICO strikes. Although I think is it a small? That's not even a small inquiry. I don't think it may be a small, but it doesn't affect you because again, all it does it goes to the back of your mortgage payments, right? So it's not gonna be like one lump sum. You need it all up at once. It goes strictly all the way to the back of your mortgage payments. That's all they're gonna do. So some of you guys, if you paying, let's say if you paying $2,000 a month on a mortgage property, well, do that times 12. That's like what, $24,000, 24 racks, 24,000 racks. You can make some moves with that. All I'm gonna say, and you covered by the law. No shade tree mechanic, ain't none of this double. No, you covered by the law. You get a 12-month, forbearance timeline that you can push your mortgage payments, obviously, to an entire year. They may, some people might do it 6 months, 2 6 months terms, or you could do like one, 12 months, whatever. It depends on who your bank is. If they solid, they ain't one of these little Rick Shack little banks that try to get over on you. You get 12 months under the government, under the law. All right, I just leave that there under the law. All right, but anyway, all right. So again, with that being said, again, get out of here, guys. Peace, power, profit. Make good decisions. Stay solid. Stay healthy. And I'll see you guys on the next live stream. All right, peace, everybody.